everyone. I'm your VP of Membership with the ATD Eastern Pennsylvania chapter. My name is Jennifer Thompson, and today I have with me Jason Vian, who is Software Education Analyst with Lehigh Valley Health Network. Jason, welcome.
Hi, nice to be here, Jennifer.
Oh, absolutely. So, hey, tell us about yourself. Where did you grow up? Are you from this area originally?
So I am not. I'm actually originally from Long Island, New York, born and raised there, then went away to college at Lock Haven University here in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Got a master's degree at Ohio University, and eventually did get a second master's degree in business administration, actually in Reading, Pennsylvania at Alvernia College, which is now.
Oh, really? Okay, so you're over in my neck of the woods. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So what made you pursue a second master's degree? This was after you were in Ohio, correct?
Correct, yeah. So the first part of my career was more devoted to athletic training wise. So athletic trainers, we work with physicians, collaborate with them to treat athletic injuries, injury evaluation, management, first aid, emergency procedures, prevention, that type of thing. And then kind of as my career developed and as, you start to kind of get into family matters and, growing, getting married, having children, the second master's was in business administration, which is something that I never thought I would do ever. I avoided all business classes in undergrad, like they were the plague. I wanted to have nothing to do with it. I'm a healthcare provider. I don't need to know about anything about business, but you start hearing a lot of language that you don't understand, return on investment, sunk costs, and all these other things that I didn't totally understand. And it didn't start out as me wanting to go back to school after that, but opportunity appeared. So my wife, we weren't married yet, but we were talking about it, and we had no children. So we didn't have exactly had the time, had some financial resources, but Alvernia, I was working at Franklin Marshall at the time in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and Alvernia being in Reading, not very far away, and we actually lived more towards Reading together at that time. Opportunity came up. They had the master's degree offered there, and they had a grad assistantship, which meant I could work as an athletic trainer for them, and they waived tuition and basically almost all the fees. And
Very nice.
Yeah, and since I had a master's degree already, I actually was able to teach in their athletic training program and earn some extra money. So it just was kind of like, well, I was thinking about doing something a little different. I've enjoyed before, like some mentoring and presenting and teaching and things like that. So this is my opportunity to kind of get my feet wet in something a little different, pursue a little bit more as far as teaching goes, see if I actually did enjoy that, and not really take much of a financial burden that otherwise I might. So.
Yeah, that sounds like a great opportunity. I know that when life presents those, you don't turn them away.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, Jason, I know you're a bit of an entrepreneur and that you started your own business. Could you talk to us about that?
Sure. So the 3B medical communication kind of started off as actually still is really a kind of a side thing that I pursue some personal interests with. Kind of going along with the teaching and some of the technology stuff that I've gotten into as well. So webinar design and things. And it's more of kind of just there to kind of help me kind of branch out to different things. And it's partly part of the reason I'm now in the position that I'm in with Lehigh Valley, having had some experience with some of those particular instructional design pieces and working on different learning technologies and things like that. And it still affords me some opportunity to try and, do a few things on my own, especially when, time-wise and nowadays with COVID going on and futures and just trying to understand, try not to put all your eggs in one basket, that type of thing. And having interests outside of maybe what you currently do or things that kind of give you just more energy. Some enthusiasm and things like that. I've been very, very fortunate in, being able to do some of that stuff, being able to kind of start that, and kind of dovetailing it with a lot of stuff I currently do as well.
So, Jason, just to be clear, what is the service that you provide? Is it for
Oh,
other employers? What is it that you offer?
yeah, so we actually just we offer services where we can do some program design, so like learning modules either online, or it's mostly centered around online stuff. So think about, everybody's busy, everybody's has stuff to do, and so they think that, hey, I'd really like to present a webinar. I would like to kind of do an online class. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you don't have the bandwidth to
Mm-hmm.
pull all that stuff together. So really it's helping people kind of pull that together either for them, in conjunction with them, serve as an advisor. Mostly, kind of that. It's a little bit of like you could call it, consulting at some points, or just kind of talking to SMEs or subject matter experts and trying to kind of pull together and solidify what they have in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so that it might be them doing the presentation and everything, and you're just kind of putting in the structure for that, so that they have a slide deck, they have their notes and things. So really just trying to be that person that will pull it all together, because you're trying to help somebody accomplish a goal that they have a passion for it, or they have excitement for it, but they don't have the time, or as
Mm-hmm.
much time as they want for it.
So if an employer or an individual even wanted to talk to you about something like that, how would they get in touch with you?
The best way is really LinkedIn. So if they just find me on LinkedIn, Jason Vian, that's probably the best way. I don't have a lot of social media stuff. I try and kind of keep that stuff under control, and that's the one I probably most consistently check and try and post stuff on and things like that. So that's really probably the best way to get a hold of me.
Okay, that's great. Can you tell us, you're a software education analyst
Mm-hmm.
for Lehigh Valley Health Network, but
Yep.
that seems to be far from where you started in your career. Can you tell us how that transition occurred?
Sure. So I came to Lehigh Valley from another private orthopedic practice, and so they brought everybody from the practice on, and it was just, I kind of was going back to doing a lot of outreach on the weekends. So, and outreach being so covering like midget football games and youth soccer, and which was fine, especially when I was younger. That was really a lot of fun and
Mhm.
a lot of satisfaction. But at that point in my life, I was spending all these weekends working. My son was getting into soccer, and I'm missing games. I'm missing more family time. So I felt like I needed a little bit of a change. And at the time, our network was switching over to Epic for their electronic medical record system, and they needed people to do the teaching. And kind of given the interest in teaching I had, and two, I had been with a couple of other practices where we went from paper to electronic medical records, and sometimes it was a complete disaster. I mean, people two different people speaking two different languages and trying to bridge the gap between computer speak and medical speak.
Mhm.
So I went ahead and applied and got one of those positions, and it kind of changed the trajectory. And I still do have a great time. I meet people that are in different medical professions that I didn't know about. Quite frankly, then you learn about them, and I would want to be in any of them. But I appreciate the fact that there's people that are super excited about, the gastroenterology, gastrointestinal system, the cardiac, all that stuff. So I kind of get to be a little bit of a technical geek. And
Mhm.
I also get to ask questions and kind of be in classes and learn a little bit more of what these folks do, and just try and take the technical speak and the medical jargon and kind of pull those together and say, hey, okay, what you're actually, what you can do, or how you can navigate this to try and do what you want, is doing this. Yeah.
Okay, so you get to use your creative ability that you use in your own business
Mm-hmm.
in your daily work at Lehigh, correct?
Exactly, exactly. It's a lot of the people skills that you pick up, I think, over the course of your lifetime too. You know, the the way you would interact with a person when you were in your 20s versus your 30s, 40s, 50s, etc., is different. And I think sometimes those experiences really kind of pay off.
Hmm.
And yeah, so the medical background that I have, the technical background that I have, and just kind of taking all of those things and kind of being able to meld it a little bit has been really, really satisfying. And just the learning piece is very important to me. You have to be constantly learning new things anyway. And my intention was not to completely reinvent myself, 10 years ago, but there's definitely aspect. I've definitely kind of gone in a direction that I was never really expecting. But I also think like learning development, because really what I'm doing now is instructional design with
Hmm.
just a different title. It seems like the more I've talked to people, I don't think too many people plan from college to go into learning development. I don't think I've met one person that has gone to school for this right away out of high school.
No, I don't think I have either. I can say that I actually, I decided on law many years ago when I was younger, but I took a bit of a detour and was in learning and development and organizational development prior to practice. So I don't think
Right.
any of us, at least those that are in the field, planned on going into the field. I think as far as education is concerned, more schools have been offering master's level leadership, learning and development more recently than it was previously. No one planned ever to go into this field, but
Yeah.
I think it's a wonderful field.
Yeah, very, very true. And there's so many different directions I think you can kind of go. I think there's something to be said um, for not specializing too much in your career with and
Mhm.
having at least a broad enough and having diverse enough experiences, education that it allows you to kind of build to different areas that maybe you just
Mhm.
never planned on, and life kind of takes you that way, but interests take you that way too.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Is that, I mean, what's one piece of advice that you would give training and development professionals, especially those who would seek to enter the health field?
Mhm.
What's one piece of advice you would give them?
I think a lot of it is especially into the health field. Don't be intimidated by doctors and degrees and things like that. Everybody, kind of like we said earlier, everybody is human.
Mhm.
Everybody is a master at something, and everybody is a novice at something else.
Mhm.
So, understanding what you personally know, and don't fake what you don't know. Don't try to, it's good to learn the language because the people will understand, medical terms and things like that, but don't try to kind of put a facade on that you know more than you do, because they'll, especially physicians, I think, and other super smart people will smell that, and you kind of lose that rapport. So a lot of it is just kind of being genuine, being comfortable with who you are, and being open to the learning that other stuff, asking questions. I think that people sometimes are too intimidated to ask questions because they're afraid they're going to appear foolish. Well,
Mhm.
yeah, I give this example. So that you so healthcare loves initials and acronyms and all this other stuff. So I don't know if you've ever heard of PAT testing.
I have not.
So this is prior to admission testing.
Okay.
So I'm in a meeting when I come to the hospital for the first time, and they keep throwing out these initials: PAT, PAT, PAT. And finally, I had to raise my hand and say, as an athletic trainer in sports medicine for 20 years, PAT has always meant points after touchdown. I do, I don't know what you're talking about. And it got a laugh. And yeah, I was a little, you know, I don't like to attract attention to myself, but at least I learned. If I hadn't
Mhm.
said anything, I would have
Mhm.
had to go whisper to the person next to me, go, what is that? And kind of lose it. So it just kind of being comfortable in that, hey, I don't know, so let me ask somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people, and myself included, not so much anymore, but a number of years ago, you're just afraid of looking stupid.
Yeah.
And, you can't be faulted for not knowing information. I mean, there's a ton of information on this earth that we will never know. There is so much to be known.
Exactly.
So I don't think there's any shame in asking questions. Certainly it shows interest on the part of the individual.
Yeah. And that interest, showing interest will take you a long way, I think, no matter where you are. And people are, not only healthcare people, but just really anybody. If you show an interest in what they do, they'll open up, their demeanor will sometimes change. I mean, I think we've all probably met people that at first glance or at the first interaction, man, they don't seem happy, or you just get in this impression of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start getting them to talk about what they do or who they are, and doors open, or at least the doors of the personality open, and you see the person for kind of more of who they are, and
Mm-hmm.
and that helps with interaction in a classroom, interaction on the street. I mean, anything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the door is open and the conversation can continue. So I think that's something we need to remember in the training and development field, something that's very important if we want this field to be effective and to influence others. So Jason, Vian, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
You're welcome.
We look forward to seeing you when we can all meet in person.
Yes.
Yes. So that being said, you have a good rest of the day, and we'll be back next time with another Member Spotlight.
Great. Thank you again for having me here. All right. Take care.